Well, good morning. Very happy to report to you today, 9th of January 2018, that I just celebrated, or I am celebrating, the 50th anniversary of my 20th birthday. My little girl asked me if I was old. I told her, darling, I'm slightly older. So, here we go. Let's get into Law of the Land, LORE, of the Land Part 2 of 9th January 2018. Now, to understand the law of the land, LORE, you have to look at it through the prism of the law, LAW. You notice the word outlaw, scofflaw, unlawful, lawlessness. It's all a variation of the word law. But with LORE, there is no such thing as lawlessness or unlawful, LOREFUL, or a scofflaw, or an outlaw, LORE. Now, what does that tell you? I'll tell you what it tells me. It tells me that the law is so fallible, is so feeble, it's so impotent. The claw of the flaw of the law is optically visible. See, in primitive societies where the law of the land, LORE, was in vogue, trending today, law of the land, thousands of years ago, you did not need a man-made rule or regulation, nothing. Excuse me. All you needed was a code of conduct. Everybody believed in the code of conduct. Everybody obeyed the code of conduct. Penalty was banishment, or an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. So maybe that's why we have a toothless and a blind society, but needless to say, the law of the land, LORE, came from custom, tradition, morals, culture. The LAW is a cult. Let me explain that to you. How the law came about. Thousands of years ago, there were some people who lived in a huge forest. And they all decided that making bows and arrows for marauding forces and, all the people that came in to people their land and attack their land. So they became expert, not archers, expert bowmen and arrow makers. So when their long bows and their short bows and all their arrows and all of them were ready, they pulled their arrows and let it fly. And the bow and arrow worked. The arrow found its mark on maybe 1,000 trees. Now this clan, the bowmen and the arrow makers, decided then they needed to go to another place. They were nomadic people, nomads. So they took off. 100 years lapses, and a new breed of people came into that jungle. And these people took up mixing colors, and they invented paint. And they were looking around and they said, look at that. There's some sharp objects in the tree. So they started drawing colors around the arrows that were embedded in the trees. And where the arrow actually hit the tree, they put a red mark around it, then a green mark, then a yellow mark, whatever. It's like a bullseye, see? And after a couple of 100 years, they left. Now, a couple of 100 years later, some law students and lawyers came to live in this forest. And the law lecturer, professor, Mr. Know-it-all, the oracle, he was taking his law students and through the forest, and he was saying to his law students, the law is precise. The law is accurate. The law never misses its mark. The law always gets its bullseye. Aha! He says, look at these trees. Look at that arrow. Look at how each of those arrows have found the bullseye. That is how, my dear friends, the law became what it is today. Complete misinterpretation serves special interests. You and I, nothing. We are nothing, not because we don't know. We are nothing because we want to be impotent without police power. In the United States, you have the Bill of Rights. The Second Amendment is very clear about your right to carry arms, to bear arms. The militia, as far as the Second Amendment is concerned, Bill of Rights, the definition of militia, an armed citizenry. It doesn't say you need to take orders from the state government, the municipal government, or the federal government, or the county government, or some ecclesiastical. It doesn't say that. But it says this. It says you own yourself. You are your own master. Get that? You want to be a slave? By choice. You own yourself. Nobody can own you. That is the basis of the Second Amendment. Second Amendment can say the government shall deliver arms to the citizenry when and if an insurrection or a rebellion or danger or if the safety of the state or the country or the community is imperiled. But it doesn't say that. Well-regulated militia, necessary for the protection and safety. The right to bear arms shall not be infringed. well-regulated militia. This doesn't mean regulated by the state, by the government, regulated by you. So, when you look at the law of the land, L-O-R-E, and when you look at the law, L-A-W, of the land, it's like night and day. They don't mean anything to each other. But one draws its strength from the other. The L-A-W is the shoot. The L-O-R-E is the root. Now, if you don't like this shoot, you chop, trim, prune, nip it away. New blooms come out. The law of the land is standard. It's the permanent template. The template. Everything else is nothing but a 24-karat genuine fake. Now let me ask you, how many of you have run afoul of the law, L-A-W, of the land? And they throw a piece of legislation at you and they say, oh, you have broken the law and you will pay a fine. And I told you last week, if you're asked to pay a fine without a trial, that's a bill of attainder. But if you have to fight the law, you must know how to fight the law, L-A-W. You can't use a hammer when a screwdriver is required. You can't use a pencil or a pen when a sledgehammer is required. You don't need an electric saw to cut into butter. Neither do you need a butter knife when you are warding off your assailant who's got a Rambo-type knife. Huh? Equip yourself with that knowledge of the L-O-R-E. Go back to the root of the law. In fact, if you want to be a lawyer fighting the enemy in their courts, I can't force you to be a tribal lawyer or an ecclesiastical lawyer. But if you want to fight them in their courts, pro se, representing yourself, if they're charging you under a certain law, it's best that you research how that law became a law in the first place. And how do you do that? You go back to the legislative journal. Every proceeding, every debate, every discussion, every deliberation in the Congress is supposed to be recorded in a journal. In England, they call it the Hansard, Hansard. If the law needs some ironing of the wrinkles, judges normally look at Hansard. In fact, I'm told the United States Supreme Court, as recently, maybe 10 years ago, decided to look into the legislative history of that law. So that's a good starting point for you if, big if, you decide to go into the devil's courts. Okay? Research the law and show them that the roots of the law are weak. The shoot may look good, but the roots are weak. Therefore, Your Honor, or Your Dishonor, or whatever, you black-robed devil, the law is faulty. If the law is faulty, the charge is equally faulty. Therefore, I have no charge. Now, you just take a speeding ticket, for example. I was driving one night with one of my marshals from Seattle to Los Angeles. I was, lead foot. I was doing about 95. Cop pulls me over, tickets me by, thank you very much. And I wrote to the judge in Oregon and said, is this about collecting revenue or about instilling safety? The judge and I had a little powwow, a little chin wag on the phone. And I identified myself, and we were calling each other judge. And, oh, yeah. He didn't even know whether it was speeding was there to collect revenue or to instill a sense of safety. Then he asked me, and I was hoping he wouldn't ask me, how would you handle this? I told him, look, if it's safety, they will not allow cars in the country that can perform more than the posted speed limit, right? I mean, if the speed limit is 80 or 90, why retail a car that can do 150 miles an hour? Huh? That's like saying, taste, don't swallow. Hey, I'm not from Costco. You know what I mean? They give you a taste and hope you'll buy a lot of it. So, I got nothing against Costco. I do all my shopping in Costco, great place. But I don't take my friends there for lunch or dinner, if you know what I mean. After eating about 250 samples, you don't want to eat anymore. Well, that's another story. But the point I'm trying to make, if it's about safety, let's have vehicles, automobiles, trucks, what have you, that can go no more beyond the posted speed limit. You see my point? Now, if it's about revenue, that's a totally different matter. Like Senator Huey Long of Louisiana once said, hell, it's still not illegal in America to be able to make a buck. So, when government gets into commerce and into business, you have hell to pay. So today, my message is simply this. If you have to fight the law, go to the roots, go to the legislative history, find out if the law is shaky. Find out, number two, if the law is on firm constitutional grounds. Number three, look at case law. Look at the principles of law. And finally, identify, define, examine, and apply. IDEA. You've got to know what the issue is. Identify the issue. You're caught speeding. What's the issue here? Speeding? Violating a speed law? Or are you threatening road safety? That's the issue. Oh, my daughter wants to go and become a doctor. She's got this great ambition. She's an A student. She's ready, but I have no money to send her to law school. It's one of my examination questions I posed at you some time ago. Everyone said the issue here is lack of funds. For me, the issue is the girl's ambition, the daughter's ambition. How do you fulfill ambition? So, it's important. IDEA, identify the issue. Define, describe the issue. examine the issue, and A, apply the action. Herein ended the second lesson in the law, L-O-R-E, of the land. Remember, the evil claw of the law is a major flaw. Be blessed. We'll see you tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, because these videos are going to be coming out regularly. All right? While I'm enjoying my retirement and my golf. Thank you very much, everybody. Be blessed. Remember, it's worth dying for the law of the land. L-O-R-E. All right? Bye for now.